Rex Layton spent $8,000 installing solar panels on his Wollongong home.
To look to have longer term, smaller electricity bills, and secondly, there's a desire to try and move towards renewable energy, and we wanted to be a part of that.
After just 4.5 years, they're headed for the tip.
Made me feel a bit sick really, because the warranty was for 10 years on the product, and we were expecting a substantially longer time than that.
The 20-panel system had been damaged by water.
These can't be fixed. There's no way of reversing the issue that they have with them. They're basically just dead panels.
Johan Fleury's company is taking down the panels and replacing them.
A large amount of those earlier panels since I'd say 2008 all the way till probably about 2014, a lot of those panels that have gone up on roofs have come back down off roofs.
All good, got it.
Johan is just one of dozens of solar installers 730 has spoken to, who say poor quality rooftop solar is all too common.
You'll have bottom of the barrel sort of guys going out there and smashing it out and trying to get it in as best as possible and as quick as possible for as little money as possible. But they're the systems that are likely to last 2 years, and then I'll be there going there and replacing those systems. And I don't want to be doing that.
One of the industry's peak bodies, the Clean Energy Council, has the power to accredit solar products and installers. Last year, the council suspended 160 solar installers and cancelled the accreditations of 12 more. It also struck more than 5,500 models of solar panel off its list of approved products.
So the solar industry does have its dark horse. There's a lot of things that are wrong or negative within the solar industry.
As a consumer, it's very hard to tell what you've bought. Consumers are sometimes getting what they think they're getting and sometimes not.
In Canberra, Dr Michelle McCann runs one of the few laboratories in Australia that conducts commercial testing of solar panels. She's measuring how much electricity a panel can produce from a single flash of light. In some tests, new panels have produced about 10% less energy than their advertised rating.
To my mind, raises questions then about what that panel is going to do after 1 year or 3 or 5, let alone 25 years in the field.
She says manufacturers overseas are sending poor quality batches of solar panels to Australia, believing they'll never get caught.
Australian consumers are notorious, and they're known overseas for caring a lot about price and for not caring very much about quality. And when that happens, you get the cheaper product, and the cheaper product isn't the better performing product.
The Clean Energy Regulator declined an interview with 730, but the Clean Energy Council says the vast majority of solar systems are safe, and an unsafe rating is not as bad as it sounds.
Well, we need to be clear, firstly, that this categorisation is about potentially unsafe systems, and we're obviously very focused on continuing to reduce that number, and the regulatory framework in place that applies to the product and also the way in which it's installed, we believe is working, and that's because the number of unsafe systems is continuing to reduce over time.
State and territory authorities conduct their own checks on rooftop solar, but some are more comprehensive than others. In Victoria, Tasmania and the ACT, authorities inspect every system that's installed, while in some other states there are regimes of targeted inspections. But 730 understands that some states have become increasingly dissatisfied with the national regulator's testing regime. But the concerns about rooftop solar aren't just about safety. Industry veteran Marcus Lambert sells high-end systems and says poor quality solar doesn't help reduce Australia's carbon emissions.
The problem is, in many cases, it hasn't even gained its CO2 back by the time it's failed. So you've actually got the irony that we're paying a rebate for solar that hasn't helped with abatement.
He too has teams of installers removing failed and unsafe solar systems from rooftops.
Right now in Australia, for all those failed panels, we don't even have a mandatory recycling scheme. So when these panels fail, they end up at the local tip and there's no scheme for recycling and we have the product failing. That's a failure.
Given these issues, is Australia's market for renewable energy working as it should? One of the big selling points of solar is the government incentives that reduce the cost of solar systems and form the basis for the national trade in carbon abatement. When someone installs solar panels, a renewable energy certificate is created, which assumes the panels will produce clean energy for 12 years. But if the solar panels fail after just a few years, the certificate can still be bought by a company to offset its emissions. This market for certificates from rooftop solar as well as wind and solar farms is worth $1.5 billion a year.
When you put a solar installation on your roof, you're putting a little mini power station on your roof. You would never ever build a coal-fired power plant without doing quality checks on it, but we're doing that with solar rooftops.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.